doing a couple videos on the general concept of progressive practice in pool. And in this video what I'm going to do is introduce the general idea with an example, and then I'm going to describe the progressive 9-ball practice drill. It's something that's been around for quite some time. Then I'm going to describe to you something new called the 9-ball Peter drill. In the second video, I am going to describe Bob Jewett's progressive practice drills. Bob Jewett has been promoting progressive practice for a couple of decades now, and he's been a pioneer in the area. And then I'm also going to introduce something else new in the second video, and that is how to use progressive practice as a tool to train the quiet eye, which is something useful in aiming. Here's the basic idea behind a progressive practice drill. I've got 15 balls here, and I'm going to cut all 15 balls into that corner pocket, or at least I'm going to try to. And all of the object balls are going to go on this mark here, which happens to be one ball width out from the middle diamond. So the object balls are always starting at that point, and the cue ball is starting, it's a cut shot, so the cue ball is starting any place along the rail here. So as you go further up along the rail, the shot is getting more difficult. And what I've done, and you don't actually have to use sidewalk chalk on your table, but what I've done is I've numbered this diamond at 1, this diamond at 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. So the first cut shot, the idea is that you start at 1, you cut that ball in, and if you succeed, the cue ball goes to 2. And you cut the next ball in, and if you succeed, the cue ball goes to 3. And then if you fail at that one, the cue ball goes back to 2. Succeed at the next one, you go back to 3. Succeed, you go to 4. Fail, you go back to 3, and so forth. And then the last one, you succeed and you go to 4. Now, we've done 7 of the 15 balls. The last 8, we do a little bit differently, because by this time, after the first 7, you've probably honed in on the rough range of your level of competence or incompetence. For the last 8, you just change by half integral increments. So if you fail here, you go back to 3.5. Fail again, go back to 3. Succeed, go to 3.5. Succeed, go to 4. Fail, go to 3.5. Succeed, go to 4. Succeed, go to 4.5. Fail, go back to 4. So your score for this drill is 4. All right, so this is the progressive 9-ball practice drill. I first learned about this from Ron Shepard of Chicago about a decade ago. The basic idea is you're going to throw balls randomly on the table, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and whatever number you have on the table, you try to run them out in rotation order with ball in hand. If you succeed, you do it again with a higher number of balls. If you fail, you go down a number and try that. And after a while, you tend to hone in on the region which is the dividing line between your level of competence and your level of incompetence. So you might use a coin. I'll use a kitten to mark a diamond on the rail, so I'll start at the 3rd diamond. So what that means is I need to throw 3 balls out randomly on the table. A lot of people have a problem with throwing balls out randomly on the table, and the problem is if you do this, and then you have the 3rd ball here, and you're kind of aware where the other 2 are, you're aware of what you're throwing out, and it's hard to be truly random about it. The way I solve this problem is every time I want to throw 3 balls out on the table, I throw out 5. If I need 4, I throw out 6. I throw out 2 extra balls. That solves 2 problems. One is I'm not really paying attention to the numbers of the balls when I'm throwing them out. The other thing is that 1 or 2 balls often just go into the pocket when you throw them randomly. So you don't have this sort of awkward problem of needing to throw out 1 more ball and being aware of what it is and where the other balls are. So I randomly throw 5 balls like this in different directions. And what I do, since I only need 3 and not 5, is I get rid of the 2 highest numbered balls that are left on the table. 1 already went in, so I'll get rid of the 12. And here's my 3 balls. So what I'll do is hit these balls in rotation order. And if I succeed at 3, I'll go to 4. Okay, so now I need to throw 4 balls out, and I put the kitten at 4. Okay, so I actually threw 6 balls out, and I can see that the 8 and the 12, the 2 highest number balls, I get rid of them like that. So I try to run out with 4 on the table here. So I failed at 4, so I go back to 3. You keep doing this, and you can keep records, and you can start up where you started off, and so forth. So here's a fun variant of the progressive 9-ball practice drill that I call the 9-ball Peter drill. And it's named after the Peter principle. You may recall what the Peter principle is. In organizations, workplaces, people do jobs, they do tasks, and they get a review, and if they do well, they get promoted to a more complicated job. And then if they do well at that, they get promoted again. And this happens until they get to a level where they're no longer doing well. And then they get stuck because there's no mechanism to go backwards. So if you look at organizations, there are tons of people that are stuck at levels where their performance is mediocre, or even at levels where they're incompetent. From an organizational point of view, this is a bad thing, but from the individual point of view, it may not be so bad, because when a person is at a level where he is just beginning to be incompetent or he's marginally competent, he or she may be learning the fastest, and he or she may be getting challenges there that they weren't getting in the lower job. So to an individual, it may not be such a bad thing, and that's the concept here. So the Peter drill, the 9-ball Peter drill, is like the 9-ball progressive practice drill, but the progression is a one-way valve. There's no way to go back. And furthermore, there's an end to the game. It's not just something that goes on. So here's the idea. You are the bison here. You might be a coin if you don't have a bison. And you start at 3. And there also is the kitten. And the kitten starts at 0. So you always start at 3. The kitten always starts at 0. You're at 3. And so that means you throw 3 balls randomly on the table and try to run them like in the progressive 9-ball practice drill. What the kitten does is it advances 1 position every inning. So if you succeed running 3, then you go to 4 because you succeeded, and the kitten advances. If you succeed at 4, you go to 5, and the kitten advances. If you fail at 5, you stay at 5, but the kitten advances. If you fail at 5 again, you stay there, and the kitten advances. If you succeed at 5, you go to 6, and the kitten advances. If you fail at 6, the kitten you stay at 6, but the kitten overtakes you like this. So there is your level of incompetence at 6.